That is Dr. Abubakar Muhammad Moki from the President's office.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Good evening, colleagues. I've been introduced from Office of the President in the Cabinet Secretariat. I'm in charge of policy development and capacity building since 2014. Now we are here discussing policy analysis. Government of Uganda introduced a cadre of policy analysts in 1998. There was a restructuring in 1998 that brought this cadre in place for the first time, policy analyst cadre. But it's only in 2014 that a department was established to build a capacity and also promote structured and systematic policy analysis. And that's where I head. Now currently, we have established policy analysis departments, units, divisions in most of the government ministries, departments, and agencies. They are there, including Ministry of Health. They have a policy analysis unit. So their work is to do the structured and systematic review, studies, evaluation of public policy actions and problems. Now, policy analysts are a key cadre in the service. We have already put in place a scheme of service for these policy analysts. The scheme of service is there. We have also come up with a model work plan for this policy analyst cadre. In fact, it's the only cadre in the service, Uganda Public Service, with a model work plan. A model work plan is a structured quarterly interventions that this cadre is supposed to carry out. So they have it and they make their work plans indicating the model work plan quarterly, and they also make performance reports quarterly, cabinet meetings to my office. Now, what are they supposed to do that can be of use in this universal health coverage? One is that we have adopted some best practices. Now, these best practices in policy analysis were also introduced as early as 2000. In fact, there was a first guide which was issued in 2004, and then the President also issued a directive in 2005, but still there's low awareness about that. Now we are also trying to promote those good practices. Now the 10 good practices are what are being used in policy analysis in Uganda. One of them is a citizen focus, looking at the citizens first. And then 2, being very clear of the public issue or need that is to be addressed. And then 3, emphasis on use of evidence. And then 4, options analysis. And then 5, structured and systematic stakeholder consultations. That being simple, practical, and then another one is something that is easily communicatable so that everybody can get the same message, something is implementable, and something that can be monitored and evaluated. They are very, very clear 10 principles. You can get them also on page 70 in the symposium guide. I mentioned them there. So, the cadre is there, and how do they do this? How do they do their work that is relevant in what we're discussing here? Now, looking at their terms of reference, or looking at the terms of reference reports and as cadre, they first have to start with identifying what is in for the citizens in that subject area. Like here, if you are talking about insurance, health insurance, they need to know what is in there for the citizens, using evidence, using structured consultations, structured and systematic consultations, and so on and so forth. Then on top of that, they need to identify the issue that they want to address for the citizen. Very clear. Now, in identification of the issue, we are using a problem tree tool, and 5Y root analysis techniques. Those are the two tools that we use. So when we're identifying the issue, in order to separate the symptoms from the core problem, we use the problem tree tool and that 5Y root cause analysis. The 5Y is from a Japanese tool, and then of course the solution. So it's very, very useful, and it has helped us come up with a number of things. Then when having identified that, the most important thing is also to identify the options. In the 10 principles, we don't look at only one option. We do separate, we do options analysis. And in the option analysis, one of the options that we must consider is do nothing. It's a given one that we always use in our analysis. And in doing options analysis, we are using triangulation of analysis. We do triangulation of analysis. And why we do that is to minimize bias. So if applied correctly under our universal health coverage, it will also create a very big difference, very, very difference. And that's why I had a paper on how we can adopt the regulatory best practices in this our universal health coverage. And basically, those are the principles that we're talking about that the policy analysts are promoting. We have done a number of stakeholder sensitizations, capacity buildings, but we have not reached as many as possible. And I don't know how many of this room have interfaced in some of our sessions. If there's none, then I will not be surprised, because we are moving on at a slow pace, simply because we are using a hands-on approach. We do it hands-on. It is something that we take people through. So how can it therefore help us in promoting universal health coverage? One, our structured and systematic studies, reviews, analysis of public issues and government actions, if well done, and what we have seen in other sectors, one, it makes the problem very, very clear. In fact, we have disproved the talk that we have very many good policies, documents, where our neighbors come and pick, implement, and for us, we have failed to implement them. We have actually proved that most of the policy documents that exist are not very clear what actually they are trying to address in terms of the subject they are talking about. In most cases, you find they are talking about inputs, they are talking about processes, leaving out the core issues in that subject area they are talking about. When you go back, you can look at any policy document. You'll find they are capitalizing on inputs, processes, leaving out. Because in this structured analysis, if you are talking about, for example, health, then it will force you to identify first of all, you have to understand what are you talking about health, like we said, and what is that health issue that we want to address in the government. It excludes the inputs from the analysis, because they come much later, having known the problems. And I believe if properly done in this area of promoting universal health coverage, it can also be of a very great benefit. 2 minutes, okay, thank you very much, Chair. Chair has given me extra 2 minutes. So what I would like to therefore conclude with here is that there is a cadre in place that is supposed to do this work. But of course, most often when we go out there, even the ministries, the feedback I get is that everybody says we are all pulse analysts. So what are you doing as a cadre? But there's an extra independent high that they provide. It's true, everybody can be a pulse analyst in a ministry. You are a commissioner of this, you are assistant commissioner of this, you can be a pulse analyst in your right. But these guys have an extra edge that they can add value into the analysis that you are doing. That's why it's a separate cadre with clear schemes of service, clear extra trainings, and so on and so forth. So I would recommend that let the various MDS and stakeholders engage this cadre, and then we see how we create the partnership that we are talking about. So the partnership that I therefore advocate here is to see how best other stakeholders can work with this policy analysis unit. Work with policy analysis and then benefit from these structured and systematic processes. Now, these processes have also tried to minimize political interference in the policy processes. Because what we discovered is that the type of politics that were being promoted in some circles was not actually for the good of the citizens. It was for the survival of the politician. The politician wants to see himself coming back the next year. He does whatever he or she can do in order to come back. And whatever they would do may not necessarily be for the interest of the citizen. But now this tool also has opened up their eyes. Say, no. This I'm pushing my individual interests. It's not for the citizens. So the tool has done that, and it has made a number of them also now push backwards, not to really give options that cannot work, and accepting to go by what the professional policy analysts are doing using their structured and systematic process. Because the whole process is evidence-based, is very transparent, and it's a step-by-step approach. There's no way you can skip, and once you skip any one step, it will send you backwards. That's how it works. So thank you, Chair, for the extra time.